Alright, I'm a few days late, but I'll admit this was a very busy week for me, and to have two episodes be released at the same time, there's a lot to go over, so how's everyone doing today, guys? My name's D-Goats, and this is The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 15, the penultimate episode of Season 2, The Summit, which this episode is so, I said last week when it came to Tipping Point, I'm like, I wonder why they didn't, if you can watch Tipping Point, then the next episode, Plan 99. Granted, I haven't seen Plan 99 yet, which is the finale, which I will immediately be watching after I finish up this video. I say there is a solid argument that you could just go from Tipping Point to here, because you kind of do a 3-act structure. This could kind of feel intriguing as a second act in a way. Granted, most of this is them trying to just figure out, okay, well, we know Crosshair is in trouble, but we don't know where he is. We don't know where Dr. Hemlock is. We know very little of Dr. Hemlock. We know basically nothing, so how do we find him? And so that's where the summit comes into play, because we had Dr. Hemlock and Tarkin talking last episode about meeting up at the summit, and it turns out the summit is on Tarkin's home planet of Iriadu at his Raven's Peak, or his tower on this mountain, on the mountain Raven's Peak. And it's just it looks great. Just the way you just got the mountain, like the map, kind of like the field map painting kind of feel with the clouds on this planet that has for the Star Wars fans, it's not a forgiving planet. So the fact that this is Tarkin's home world, and he's even governor of this planet, which is why he has both the monikers governor and eventually Grand Moff in the freaking wait, is he governor? Is he Grand Moff yet in this? Oh crap, I already forgot. I just know he's governor because, again, this is on planet, and Tarkin's Tarkin. So he has this summit, and Hemlock is going to be there. So the Bad Batch is like, well, all we got to do is just infiltrate the summit and just put a beacon on, or a tracker on Hemlock's ship, and then we just got to go wherever that goes. And I'm thinking, all right, that sounds simple enough, but I mean, of course, the thing is, I'm going into this and I'm like thinking, okay, so this episode is just gonna be them infiltrating the summit, maybe learning something about the Empire, getting a few close calls, tagging the ship, and then leaving. And then maybe, there is suspicion of the Bad Batch had been there, and Hemlock is gonna be just as a precaution, double security at his facility or something. And I'm thinking, okay, so then when Plan 99 comes in, they're trying to infiltrate the facility, and it's going to be a lot more difficult, and then maybe they get Crosshair out. Yeah, that goes completely out the window in this episode, because the first half is everything seems to be going according to plan. They get to the planet, they have to land away from the mountain, from the peak, so they don't get detected. They have a way on, which is kind of like hopping on this monorail transport. And I love this one moment where it's Tech's I'll be able to deactivate the sensors, but we have a 30-second window, so we must be precise. The entire group turns to Wrecker, who's just what? I love that. It's just those little details where it's just but yeah, no, so that's what they do. Tech hops on, he deactivates the sensors, they all get on the train, and have to hang on for dear life as they infiltrate the facility, where Tarkin is meeting up with he meets up with Dr. Hemlock, and also, crap, I forget what Ben Mendelsohn's name is in Rogue One, dang it, but he's there too, and he's even, Tarkin, at one point, he's tell me about Project Stardust, and Ben Mendelsohn's, I don't know if they actually brought him on to say this one line, because I think it is a line he says in Rogue One, or at least, they just took a few of his lines and kind of mixed them together to make it sound like it's him talking, but he's he basically just gets one line. So I don't know if they actually brought Ben Middleton back for one line, or if he actually is going to show up later on. I don't know if Project Stardust, or AKA building the Death Star, is going to come into play here in the Bad Batch. Would I highly doubt that, because we don't really learn much about the Death Star until we learned a little bit about it in Rogue One, in Rebels, and then of course Rogue One is like the main beef of the Death Star story. But yeah, so who knows? But the Bad Batch, they get in, and they have a few. The main plan is shut down security, find which ship is Hemlock's, tag it, and then get out. That's as simple as it should be. But then as they're infiltrating, they notice that some of the security has already been disabled, and they're like, wait, that's not right. And I'll admit, the second they said some of the security's already been disabled, I'm like, oh wait, someone's already here. And I'm like, oh wait, is it Saw? Like, I couldn't believe I called it that quick, because I'm like thinking, this is a summit with some of the big heads of the Empire. Not like the heads, like the Emperor isn't here, but it's like Tarkin, Hemlock, these two other Imperials that seem to have a big importance, and then of course the Ben Mendelsohn, the guy who's in charge of the Death Star. It's like, those are pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal. So I'm like thinking, if Saw is here, he clearly is going to be gunning for them. He's clearly going to kill them. And then I'm thinking like, oh man, the what if timeline of this. And yeah, no, the second he shows up, like, him and his crew are all dressed up in stormtrooper armor, and I'm like, they never really caught on, really. The Empire never really caught on to the idea that there could be rebels or insurgents that just put on the armor. Like, seriously, this goes all the way to freaking New Hope, where you can just impersonate an Imperial and you're good. And it's like, man, you really just... I mean, actually, scratch that, even all the way to Return of the Jedi, like, because Han Solo even, he contacts the Empire on the comm when they have to infiltrate the one facility, and then they just like, we have trouble, we need backup, everyone come outside, and it's just like, bro. But that just shows how incompetent the Empire really is. But yeah, no, so Hunter and Tech, they go investigate they go investigate what's going on, and sure enough, it's Saw Gerrera who is rigging the place to blow, and I'm just like, oh my god, if he actually pulled this off. Granted, the Bad Batch, they're there to infiltrate, and they intercept Saw, and they try to convince Saw, it's like, well, even if you kill them, they're just going to be replaced. The information you could gather on them is a lot more important than just killing them outright here. Like, he's not wrong. I mean, at least, of course, for Tech and Hunter, they're just like, if you kill Hemlock here, we will never find Crosshair. So it's like, okay, there needs to be something that needs to go down. And of course, that's kind of what happens, because a stormtrooper enters the room, a shootout occurs, Saw and his crew get away, Hunter and Tech, they get back to the ship, they get back to the hangar where Omega and Wrecker, they're in the main hangar room, and they're in the main hangar while Echo is at the control station. He's trying to get some information, and he also causes a distraction at one point, which is great. He just takes control of a crane, and it starts wrecking havoc. All the while, Omega is really good at sneaking. She's kind of like Solid Snake. Just sneaking around, just avoiding detection, just trying to tag Hemlock's ship. There is a moment where she is sandwiched in, but that's when Echo causes the distraction with the crane. And then even then, a mouse droid pops up, and Omega's, of course, it's like, oh no, it's gonna detect her. And then Wrecker just stomps on it. It's just like, ooh. But then, of course, because Saw was there and was kind of messing things up, he inadvertently caused the group to, to kind of rush things. And then, of course, as they're escaping, there's troopers attacking them, and they get on the train, they get on the monorail, and then the troopers, as some of the troopers hop on, and as they're going, the worst case scenario happens. Saw and his crew, they escape, they blow up the facility, so that means Hemlock's ship is destroyed, hence the tracker, so they can't crack Crosshair. Then the power goes out, which then leaves the crew stranded on the monorail out above just nothing. Like, it's really just nothing but clouds below. It's just clouds below, so it could literally be like a death drop. Actually, it is a death drop. What am I saying? Of course it's a death drop. So they're basically screwed. And it's just, and at that point I'm like thinking, wait, we're near the end of the episode. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, what's gonna happen? There's no way then they're gonna get out of this and figure out where the freaking hell Crosshair is. Like, there's no way. And I'm like, oh my god, unless they like rushed it so hard, but I'm like, there's no way they can rush it. There's no way. So I'm like, then what's Plan 99 if it's not like a rescue mission? And I'm like, what's gonna happen? Something's gonna go down. And then of course I thought back to the beginning of this episode with the crew when they were leaving Pabu, and the moment, everyone's getting on board, of course, except for V, who is curious as to where they're going, and Omega's like, it's a covert mission. It's just straight up basically saying, hey, we're going on this secret mission, and then V's like, well, tell me everything when you get back, and I'm like, yeah, it'll be interesting when they get back. But then she has the moment with Tech, and V's just like, you're just gonna leave without saying goodbye? And then I love Tech just being so blunt. He's like, that is correct. I'm like, dang. And then again, the kind of dynamic between between him and V is it's been so weird. But then when I get to the end of this episode and I'm thinking like, they're stranded and they're on this monorail and they're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like they're pinned down because there's another monorail of troopers off in the distance and they're shooting them down. It's like the power is out. It's like, what are they gonna do? How are they gonna get out of this situation? And the fact that the season 2 finale's episode is called Plan 99, I'm like, what the heck is Plan 99? What the heck is Plan 99? Because at first I'm thinking Plan 99 is probably like a rescue mission, right? And I'm like, nope. I don't want to say it, but is Tech gonna die? Like, I mean, just again thinking about what happened early in this episode, the fact that they kind of gave Tech a lot more character development throughout this season, and the fact that unless there is some miraculous miracle in the next episode to kind of help him get out of the situation, find out where Hemlock's facility is, and then rescue Crosshair all in one swoop, there's no way. They would rush it so hard. There's no, like, pacing wise, it wouldn't work. So I'm worried, and I don't know. Although I'll say this: if they actually do kill Tech, I don't know, because in terms of the Bad Batch, it's like, if you killed Hunter, that would be like, that's kind of like you're killing technically the main character. You can't kill Omega because, there's so much with her. Everything that they did was for her, so they killed her off here. That would make no sense. And Wrecker would hurt, but I feel like you take him out, then you kind of, yeah, man. But again, just the way that they built up Tech throughout the season, and they kind of started the episode off with him, and that little moment with V, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, because, everything should be, it's tough, but there's, again, with the situation going south as it is, because of Saw Gerrera, there's no other big emotional way you can wrap this season up, and I'm thinking, like, they can't do that, right? They can't. Hopefully they can't. Hopefully they won't. But if they do, it's gonna be. I'm hoping. Because we've had clones die before in Clone Wars. Heck, there's so many losses in Clone Wars that hurt. Like, I mean, fives, and then at a time we thought Echo was dead. I remember freaking Heavy in the in early on. I mean, if you watched it in the chronological order, you actually got you got to learn a lot about the crew, about the Domino Squad before things kind of went south on the moon planet, and Heavy got killed along with a few others. But I don't know. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. And if I'm not, then, well, we're in for a fun time, aren't we?